Hello and welcome back to America, a History podcast. I'm your host, Liam Heffernan, and it's been a while, but following a short hiatus from the show, we are back. And on Tuesday, July the 2nd, America, a History podcast returns with new episodes. We've really got some great guests lined up, so I'm really hoping that you join us on July 2nd. Follow the show wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure that those new episodes are hitting your feed when the new episodes drop. So the reason I'm doing this little teaser episode as a bonus for you all is because we've launched on Patreon. Because, the show isn't free. It costs us money, it costs us time, and we need a little bit of help with that from you, our lovely listeners and supporters of the show. So if you've really enjoyed, what you've heard over the last year since we launched the show, it would really mean a lot to us if you could follow the link that's in these show notes and in the podcast bio over to our Patreon page and show your support and give us just a couple of quid a month just to help us, keep the lights on and keep the show running. It really would mean a lot. In return, we're going to give you some perks too. So we really want to build a community around this podcast. So for anyone that supports the show via Patreon, you'll have access to an exclusive community chat. There'll be different forums where you can submit questions and episode ideas and get involved when there is an upcoming episode. We'll share the details and the guests so you can really have your say. We're also going to have a more general discussion board where we can chat about things that are happening in the US. Maybe it'll inspire us and motivate us to create an episode out of something. We really want you to have your say and be a part of that process with us as well. And it's really just a good space for people who love to chat about America, American history, politics, culture, to really be able to do that. And you never know, some of the things that we chat about might make their way onto the podcast. And of course, if you want to spend a little bit more, we have a slightly higher tier where you will also get access to our live recordings. So for every recording of the show, you'll have an audience invite. So you can choose to listen or not, but you'll be able to have your say live during the recording, get your questions heard. And it's a way for you to just have that extra bit of involvement in what we're doing and really be involved in those discussions and shaping that agenda. And of course, if you want to be one of our founding fathers of the show for $17.76 a month, see what we did there, you'll get a special credit on the show. You'll actually be able to work with us to create your own episode as well. And, you get bragging rights. And on the subject of bragging rights, there is one tier which is very exclusive, and there can only be one. And that is, of course, the president. You can be, if you have slightly deeper pockets, you can be our president. You'll be immortalized forever in the Hall of Fame of the podcast. And I say that literally. We will shout about you. We will pledge our allegiance to you, our glorious leader, at the start of every episode of the podcast. And we will also give you a custom digital presidential portrait, which you can keep and have forever. And you will be our favorite person in the whole world. But if you only have a couple of pounds to spare, if you're a student maybe, or you're working at a university, you just like what we do and you want to help us just to keep it going, that's okay. And we would really love your support. You can join our lowest tier and you still get access to those chats and those forums. And you really get to feel part of the podcast community that we're building around the show. And, if you've listened since day one, you know that, we're all about having discussions that really have an impact. And part of that is about engaging you, our listener, in those discussions as well. So that's what this is all about. And we're really hoping that by launching this Patreon page, it's a win-win because we get to keep the show going. You get to really get involved in that process and make the show as amazing as it can be. And I think we'll gain something out of that. So we're going to pop a link in the show notes and in the podcast bio. Do follow it over to the Patreon site. Really, really would love it if you could consider giving a couple of pounds a month to help us keep the show going. It would mean a lot to me and all the staff at the University of East Anglia who collaborate with me on this. And of course, if you have any questions about the show, you want to get in touch, feel free to do so. Drop me an email, hello@podcastsbyliam.com. Thank you so much for listening, and keep your ears peeled for July the 2nd, and get following wherever you're listening to your podcasts.